okay, I need people to wrap their head around this. Even if you have a taller IQ than I have, even if your IQ is tower over mine, this still might seem lopsided. But it does not really matter that whether or not the news is fake or real, because it's already sponsored. There are a bunch of lawyers. They would rather you call them fake than sponsored, because that represents a conflict of interest. And not because you can sue them or persecute them, but because you still don't know what you do to someone if you ignore them. It just take the gas right out of them. Like a demiurge, are all coming for your energy, for the acquiescence. So here's the thing. When there's news, there can't be any advertising. You can platform whatever anybody says. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to believe them. But you have to have this solemn seriousness and approach that it can't be interrupted. So you can pay your subsidiaries. And then the reason that you don't get into anything or you keep the truth for the very end is because you only have a 1 hour show. And then you would like to talk about it longer, and it's very interesting, and we'd like having you on again. But right now, like, so, we only have like an hour, and you have all these interruptions every fucking 7 minutes. There's 4 minutes of commercials. So they like you to call them fake because you just gave them your power by calling them fake. If you call them sponsored, then regardless if they were starting color revolutions everywhere and if Anderson Cooper is the CIA and it was always the point for the CIA to take over the mainstream mass media conduit, it was like always going to be the objective in the first place. Then when they got there, they said, what if they realize it's us now? Like, let's tell them that we are no longer in the CIA. As if anybody, as if anybody, you don't even know if you're in the CIA or not. You just do the next thing that they put on the table. And then when you retire, there's still some shit on your plate and you're still in the CIA. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're not, okay. This is about words. Taking the power away from it, because immediately it doesn't do anything. If we start calling them sponsored because they didn't like it, they're not going to start packing your bags. But what really happens is that you start to fucking ignore them no matter what they do. You have to be able to ignore them if they started hanging niggas from chain link fences by their toes, because they'll use the fact that this is going on to demand moral indignation and outrage and everything in the first place. Then they could be just like a fireman, unemployed, out of work fireman going around starting fucking fires for work to get work. Now, come on. You want to give them that power to do that to you? Call them fake. Keep calling them fake. Keep looking at things in terms of whether they make sense and whether that shit is real or fake, not whether it's true or whether or not what is it? Not that it makes sense, but whether or not it's the right action, Like they do things dialectically to try to get us on a basis, with competition and petty, then you lose your energy or something like that. When it never really was you in the first place. I never seen you acting like them, just because you trained and picked up some of their, it's like their agenda. It's kind of like artificially. It's not really, it's like scaffolding is gonna come. It's like Illiputian. It's like trying to tie down a giant with all these ropes and everything. Little, you know what I mean? And he's sleeping, he wakes up, and there are all these little teeny people fucking tying him, Thing is, I don't know everybody who's down to look at things that way, because they might want to maintain the grift. If it's an emotional energy, and then what they do is they make you take longer to make points. It's like after the dialectics set in, you don't, your conveyance and your communication, it's like been it's like been, the message is like diluted, and the good suffer with the bad. You can't tell who's a real revolutionary is, and all these things. Because really it's somebody who's irritating a little bit that's going to actually do the thing and be done with it, the thing that needs to be done, that may look like an act of treason. Like because in order to break the illusion's curse, somebody has to do something that appears to be an act of treason. Because you can't ask somebody to have this loyalty. You know what I mean? It's like a bad word. Like prepping is a bad word. Like all these things, like everything's preparation. Like who's gonna tell you prepping is a bad word? I don't go around trying to get people to smoke my weed because I'm an underachiever. No, but then some people, that's exactly the type of shit that they do. Right? It's gonna make it look, it's gonna make potheads look like, like we got, more issues than, what I mean? Like you just remember the dude putting LSD in a spray can and going around and dosing everybody in the audience and then telling them to sit back and enjoy the ride and don't freak out or anything. But you just dosed everybody. Like it's like, that's neat, like that's cool, right? Like you see these people living out in the middle of the woods and everything, and you just know that they never been tossed before. Like they'll give them a tiny, like a shot of some inebriants or something, see if them like be rolling around the floor. And then there's tourists that like to go out and see villagers. They're like people who lived out away from humans for a long time get drunk. It's like the fucking Ed Buck's couch, you know what I mean? And then so these people that fucking overlook Ed Buck and allow him to be like a serial killer, is like only the third person was the survivor that we know of. He could have had other meth people die on his couch before. And those bright innocent bastards are so nice and full of care, and they're the real nice people and the real Christian, and they're the real version, and they think it's a contradiction in the Old Testament or something like this. That's just what it is. That's just how those people are like. How do they get from point A to point B, from there all the way to there? But they do, though. Don't they cover all them bases? You're gonna let them tell you to stay dangerous? They don't even ask who just lane trafficked kids to. Like they don't, like they are all quiet and like they don't, like they all shut up and are all quiet and don't like supposedly anybody to question influence peddling and who's the big guy. You know what I mean? They put words in your mouth or things that are supposed to be more interesting to you out there for it and speak on on behalf of you, and they don't even represent you. They're trying to mock you. How are you gonna mock me in shame when you're pedophile adjacent? How are you gonna mock us that we turned away a blind eye and feign ignorance or something when that was you? You said, "Hey, excuse me, sir, here's your mask here. Sir, you can't be here. Here's, take this mask." And you want me to fucking say thank you for bringing me a mask. You tell everybody else to wear the mask, and then when the fucking malaise blows over and you're the only one left wearing a mask, then you're sitting in therapy telling the therapist that people disparage you for wearing a mask, like you were unwelcome for wearing your mask. No, you're telling other people they're not welcome. Now you're, seeing that you're just telling yourself you're a victim the whole time. Now you think that other people are shaming and alienating you because you wear a mask. No, we can make fun of you because you look stupid, though. We're not telling you can't be anywhere, you can't exist anywhere, you gotta go. So we're calling the cops. Ugh. Oh, man. So, I'm not gonna tell them that they're medical tyranny or anything. I will ignore them. It's like, it doesn't matter if you put yourself out there to be this vile monster. You would just not tell anybody that a motherfucking monster was creeping up on them anyways. You want to tell them how this was developing, because you don't want to be the odd man out or something like that anyways. So you stay dangerous, motherfucker. You're a safe hoe. You remind me of a safe hoe. You go wall yourself in up in a fucking safe room. Take the safe option. And they're always being mindful. It's like they've been promised that there's a way that they can exert some influence or something if they toe the party line, and then they were going to be remembered. But they don't have the self-awareness to even know when they're gaslighting you. So why are you going to tell them and help them with information that's going to fuck us up? You know what I mean? Like, see, they almost have to train everybody to call them fake instead of sponsored, because it take the gas out of it. And if, you know what I'm saying, like, you don't have to do as I say. You can, and when people use the colloquialisms, you don't have to correct them, because they're not enslaving your mind. It's for you, not them, to recognize the entrainment and to get out from the entrainment. So you sometimes maybe just let them and get the meaning that what they're really trying to say, because their message has been diluted by the dialectics that you probably rightfully think is trying to initiate mind control. And they got to convert the divine feminine energy into a patriarchal figure. Like, remember Brock Sampson and the Venture Brothers, and drill sergeant was nursing him when he was in the boot camp, and he was like before he was a special forces or whatever, and his drill instructor, and it was like took him up to his bosom and just gave him a milk, like he was nursing. They tear you down and build you back up from the ground up, and they're like, it's like your new mother. And then the head of the MI6 and the CIA and everybody and the NSA and everybody is mom. Queen mom.